Here's a news flash for you. Mel doesn't need my help.
I absolutely adore Doc. He's brilliant, he's clever, he cracks me up every time we speak. He's charming, and I swear to God, if you are gonna scorn like a Scotsman.
Have you seen any of her videos? Or is this just the thing that you're trying to do this divide and conquer, that Mel needs my help because I have testicles for some reason?
Let's continue eviscerating David Wolfe. Let's see what bullshit he's going to sell.
All right, so how about we pull up the David Wolfe video of Scientism so we can kind of learn what that is, because I think I think we should watch that. It's not very long. It's like a minute and a half or 2 minutes. So let's have a look at his view on scientism, guys.
I do know from experience that the scientific method is not the only way we can know something. There's also just experience, right? If I do something a certain way and all of a sudden I'm doing it slightly different.
Pause, please. Pause. Is it me, or is he bloating up like a Goodyear blimp? I mean, for a guy that only eats fruit, he's the size of an elephant.
I think if you only eat fruit and you eat a lot of it, you know, it also depends on the fruit. It's still very high in sugar. You know, it's fructose, but, you know, still, if you don't burn all of that in the day, it still can be stored as fat. I mean, that's just the metabolism.
But his hair is looking spectacular. I mean, is that, was he born with it?
It might be the coconut oil.
Is it Maybelline?
Is he born with it, or is it coconut oil?
Is he a Pantene guy, do you think? Or a Timotei guy?
He probably,
he's looking like dog shit.
I think he might go and get some eucalyptus leaves and some aloe and squirt it into a pot and then mix it with some coconut oil and then rub it on his head and then wait for it to rain outside, and then he rinses it out. I think he might do that.
That's awesome for the chakras, I hear. But
I think so.
I think coming off coke was a really bad idea for this guy, because he is the size of an elephant.
Oh my goodness. Let's see what else he has to say.
There's a little instinct that goes off, tells me don't do it that way because that's not how you often do it. Don't grab the door that way or don't grab that tree that way because there might be a thorn there or something. You know, it's like a memory. Experience is a way of knowing. Scientific method is a way of knowing. Intuition and
pause it.
is a way of knowing.
Pause it a second. Oh my God. Okay, so he's saying
what's he talking about?
He's talking about scientific method isn't the only way to do things. And so he's essentially saying, I know that I can turn a doorknob a certain way because I remember things. And I know I have to touch a tree a certain way. So science isn't the only way to do things. Science is the same thing. You just write it down. And it's not just noted that after a period of time, yeah, sure, if you're like working a particular process you've done 9,000 times, you know how to do it because you read how to do it first. Other people figured it out, and then now you're implementing it. But when you're doing like actual pure science as opposed to applied science, you still have to write everything down. And that's the only way you can get to the point where if I touch the stove, it's hot. You think? I mean, it's just because somebody either told you or you did it yourself. I mean, it's just, okay. It's just, I can't. I just can't. Keep going.
Synchronicity is a way of knowing. Where all of a sudden, like I was going to go have my foot x-rayed, the whole thing, and all of a sudden synchronicities were occurring and told me something, do something else. You know, I ran into an old roommate of mine at a wedding randomly. He was the photographer, completely random, in Long Island, out in the Hamptons. And all of a sudden, he's like, yeah, he's like, dude, you broke your foot. I was like, yeah, dude, it's bad. It's like, boom, boom, boom. And then he tells me his experience of his broken foot last year, exactly the same injury, exactly the same situation. And then he's laying out how he healed it. I'm like,
Well, there it
Interesting
is.
that
I
this
mean,
should come
that's
up right
that's
now.
fucking
So this
conclusive.
thing that we can only learn in a certain way, which is scientific method, is not in alignment with truth. It isn't. There's other ways to learn, and you can learn from others. You can learn from experience. You can learn from scientific method. You can learn from intuition and instinct, and you can also learn from, you know, a tree might give you a little, hey, you know, check me out, or, you know, some messages from nature.
What?
That could be.
Oh my
Messages from
God.
trees. I
Oh.
can't argue with that. Trees talk to me all the time. And here's the thing about synchronicity. Synchronicity depends on never counting the misses. All of the non-synchronous things, and then, oh shit, my foot was thinking, well, your foot. Your anecdote means dick all, and your synchronicity is a bunch of bullshit, Dave. So,
Oh my God.
back to the science, Dave.
Yeah, but okay, I think this video, there's not much left on it, and then I have so many comments. So many.
Real. I'm not saying it is, but it could be. What my detractors are stuck in is they're stuck in materialism, which is this materialistic explanation for everything, and then only the material world matters. And I suspect that, yes, we're in a material body, and yes, the material world matters, and also your emotional world matters. And your mental world matters. And
Now he's going to
spiritual
conflate
world matters.
emotionality
I've had to learn
and
from
mentality.
experience that I think it is true what Wayne Dyer said. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. I think that is true. And I entertain that possibility. And therefore, I don't live my life from just the physics of the material world. And that's what my detractors are against. Because ultimately, what we grew up with, the science background, what I mean by scientism
By the power of his magical
not the
caftan.
scientific method. It's all this BS that surrounds the scientific method that says, oh, you're a Christian, you can't do science then. Oh, you believe in God, you can't do science then. Oh, you don't believe in the Big Bang, you can't do science then.
No.
Who said so?
No.
Who's saying that?
No.
Well, I'll tell you who's saying that.
Nobody
It's
said that.
people who are, their religion is materialism. Their religion is the
Oh,
materialistic
there it is. That's
explanation.
what scientism
and they've
is, Doc.
co-opted science and dragged it into this BS, which is called scientism, which says, oh, there's a pill for every ill. We know that. It's like, oh, no, there's actually physical causes of illness.
Ew.
There's also spiritual
Nobody
causes of
says
illness.
that.
And there are definitely emotional causes of illness. We look at all of them. I'm in that field. I have to look at all of it. And that's what's happened. The reason why they're so upset at me and why they have to call me a pseudoscientist and insult me and all that is because what I'm going after is their religion.
Continue
Oh my
watching this.
God. Oh God.
Yeah.
Okay.
So did you see the little Weasley thing he did there? He starts talking about, you know, the non-natural things, and then he goes, psychology and mental causes and emotions. Like, no, David, that's not what you were talking about, Dave.
No,
You can't
straw
conflate
man.
that with the
Yeah,
supernatural.
people calling straw man.
Yeah,
They believe in
lying
this
little.
materialism. Oh my God. He almost makes it sound like materialistic. And I want to say, no, honey, that's you. That's you. That's not us. And
How
he goes,
dare
they're
you.
so
How
on the
dare you.
materials of things. Huh?
How dare you base your worldview on those things that we can measure and ascertain to have actual presence, that are actual things? You should include all manner of fantasy things as well, because that's how everything works. No, Dave.
God.
No, Dave. The minute the supernatural influences the natural, it stops being supernatural because we can measure it. And so far, Dave, if you're listening, and I hope you are, you bastard. So far, magic has never been the correct answer. Not one time. Oh, look at that. Wonder what causes that. Is that magic? No, it might seem that way, but no, it's not magic.
No magic here. It just, he calls it scientism. And I do have a couple tweets we'll look at here in a bit where he's talking about all the scientism and the scientism. It's like, what is, I really just kind of want to go, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
At some point in time, I'd just like to sit down and go, what is wrong with you? Are you okay? Did you hit your head? You know, it just, why do you think these things? I find it interesting that he tries to rally over this distrust of science, particularly for people who are religious. And I have friends with PhDs who believe in God. And I'm like, they do cancer research. It doesn't have to be a thing. And then he throws all this out. It's so very divisive, thinking that, you know, I just hate that. And then so that kind of rallies those people up behind him into like demonizing scientists, which I particularly find extremely problematic and insulting.
Well, I mean, he's doing the classic othering. Those people are evil, therefore buy my shit, which is basically the whole core scam.
Oh my gosh,
It really is a tragedy for Dave because he's so transparently inept.
Yeah.
And yet, I imagine, fairly wealthy. And the other thing that troubles me is I think he's totally self-aware. How does he sleep at night knowing he's doing this?
You know, it's pretty interesting. I want to pull up, okay, Bull, that video where he's getting an interview from a woman about synchronicity. We're not going to watch much of this. I just want to throw this up and see if you can recognize what kind of feel you get off of this doc. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
By the way, I'm going to...
I'm here today with David Avocado Wolfe, and I'm writing an essay on synchronicity for school, and I thought, well, hey, I might as well interview the most magical person I know, who's like a hyper-synchronicity machine, to kind of get your insight and to understand synchronicity from a little bit better from your perspective. So thank you so much for hopping on this call with me.
Okay, pause it a second. Okay,
Thank
Doc,
you.
does
This is great. I'm excited to talk about...
Okay, anything strike you about this just right off the bat?
Do I have to?
Or do you want me to say? Do you want me to say what I found
No,
particularly striking?
I can say it.
Okay.
I think he's cupping his balls right now.
Why is he in the bed? She's clearly out having this professional conversation, and he's lying in this bed, giving her like these eyes, like, "Hey, yes, I'm a magical being."
Snuggling his lovelies. Dirty old man, Dave. Dirty boy. Dirty.
I didn't watch a lot of this because it is literally just him laying in bed, throwing out his jargon. I'm just like, what is wrong with him? He's like, hey, I'm David Avocado Wolfe, and I'm talking this co-ed, and she thinks I'm magical.
I'm going to call him Magical Dave from now on. That's it. Magic Dave.
Magic Dave, who slides in the bed to give interviews to co-eds.
I mean, that's just not professional anyway, is it? I mean, I once appeared on TV drinking wine in my living room. You know, I'm here in my living room talking about shit, and I'm having a glass of wine. Fuck you. Oh, that's terrible. That's a big evil thing. I wasn't in bed. Let me.
I can't hear you now. Oh, is the sound gone?
I can hear you. Hello?
Oh, okay, I can hear you now. Okay.
Yeah, I was just...
Oh my God. He's a creep,
chocolate
man.
Is chocolate, totally an octave of the sun. And mushrooms, fucking Mars.
It's like, excuse me, I'm going to be breathing very hard for a few minutes. And you're like, oh my God. He's just, it's just gross. He's just a creep. So one of the things, so when I was doing a bit of research to try to get things together for the show, I was like, all right, I'm going to come across this video. And if you can go look at this video in the comments, every single one's like, why is he in bed? Oh my God, why is he in bed? He's a creep. this girl, here she is thinking, it's David Avocado Wolfe's going to talk to me, and he's going to answer all my questions about synchronicity. And then she goes to get on this show, and there he is, just all cuddled up in bed. How you doing? I am Magical Dave. Here to rock your world in synchronicity. Then maybe Sting should have played in the background or something. I don't know.
But I have a rule of thumb. If people want to interview me or talk to me, and they start by saying that I have magical powers, unironically, I tend to say, you need to think a little harder about that, because that's totally bogus. As far as you know.
Gosh.
Because I really do have magical powers. It's a super big secret.
I will not tell anyone, Doc, I promise. I think...
Pinky swear. Pinky swear.
Pinky swear. See, right there. It's totally valid. Oh, we're going sideways here. Sideways. Sorry.
Yeah.
All right, there we go. Pinky swear. We're set.
I absolutely adore Doc.
Because I have testicles for some reason.